Yo, on some real stuff, drop a like if you wanted to smack the dog tar out of Uryu after watching this episode of Bleach Styles in Your Blood War Season 3, Episode 30 as a whole, because fam, oh fam, the traitor, the betrayer, the person that stabs you in Zabak is kind of like, wow. This episode of Bleach Styles in Your Blood War was yet again a prime example of just how incredible and amazing this anime has been as a journey, as a ride, and in general as just something that is like, holy cow, Studio Pierrot, Taite Kubo, you did your thing. Now, I want to say a lot of this episode was actually improvised in terms of Taite Kubo came in and added a bunch of original content. Leading up to this episode, they said like about a good 10 minutes or so, if not more, was supposed to be original material. And it definitely felt a lot more expansive in terms of the interactions between Ichigo and Uryu, as well as everything with Bak and his whole situation with his father, the Soul King, and even giving Bak's elites a little bit more of screen time and just seeing their interactions with Ganju, Chad, Orihime, and everything all around. It felt definitely like there was more to this whole situation opposed to in the manga. While it was cool, everything was really fast paced, and it's interesting to say because we have such a small amount of time. You know, we got a certain amount of episodes to get all of this done, and yet it felt like it was a lot of room to breathe, but at the same time not feeling like it missed a beat at all. And before we continue, if you would hit that subscribe button and that bell, it would definitely help you to understand more about the world of Bleach and anime and manga. Because this episode continues from where the last one left off, where Mimi Hagi is holding it all together. Like, shout outs to Ukitake, because let's keep it all the way real, if it wasn't for the sacrifice that homie just made and his lifelong sacrifice, essentially, things right now would be over. It would literally be completely over if it wasn't for him utilizing Mimi Hagi to hold the Soul King together, at the very least for a period of time, even though it was kind of in vain because of what happens after. Nevertheless, you gotta give it up for Ukitake, because you can only imagine the level of pain that man is in right now as he was holding it together utilizing Mimi Hagi. But even so, Bak was definitely on a warpath trying to get things sorted, and I really wish they would dive just more into the personalization of Bak's past with the Soul King. Like, we got inklings, we got a little bit of insight. Apparently the Soul King is Yuhabaha's father. Great. I want to understand what led to this point. I would love to get, even if it was, you know, a couple of minutes of a flashback of them when he's younger and interactions, or just in general their camaraderie, their talking, just something there to understand just what led to this, because clearly there's no love lost in terms of from Bak's side of things, where he's just genuinely trying to go straight for the jugular when it comes to the Soul King. I mean, for crying out loud, you gotta have the hand of the Soul King itself to stop Bak, because he's just trying to destroy and take everything that his father is as he's standing right in front of him. So I definitely would like to get more insight into why is Bak so much hell-bent on doing this. Is it strictly just because, yo dog, you never protected the Quincy, you let us get slaughtered despite the fact that you could see everything, which is still freaking awesome that Kubo wrote in that yes, Bak is completely hacked. He has this new 3-eye ability where he could see the future, past, present, all of that stuff, but at the same time it can't supersede his father. The Soul King still ultimately is kind of like a kryptonite, but then at the same time it's not too overpowered, because we see that if it's not for Yoruichi jumping in and a lot of these other characters kind of working in unison to stop Bak, then he would have had his way completely. So yes, Mimi Hagi is able to evade the third eye, so to speak, that Bak is utilizing, but at the same time there's still a little bit of wiggle room where, yeah, it's not completely overriding anything Bak can do. But I ain't gonna lie, it definitely felt like for a moment, even though of course I had read the manga a while back, dang, Yoruichi looks like, yo, maybe they're gonna do it, they're gonna save the Soul King. They start putting him back together utilizing Mimi Hagi and trying to essentially fuse the Soul King's, I guess you would say, corpse and the energy of Mimi Hagi, the hand of the Soul King, to create a new Soul King, which technically wouldn't even be an artificial Soul King. It would just basically be like revitalizing him, but at the same time just sealing him up. But that's where enter one of the top 5 betrayals in anime, where Uryu strikes, and I'm gonna keep it all the way real. There's so much that can be said, so much definitely I'd imagine that the Bleach fandom is feeling and what is felt of Uryu and his betrayal of Ichigo, the Soul Palace, everything to do with, you know, the good guys, so to speak. Because if it's not for Uryu shooting down Yoruichi while she's trying to connect the Soul King again, we probably would have been able to stop Bak right there. So that's definitely one of the biggest betrayals. But then at the same time, let's just say hypothetically speaking that Uryu didn't do that. He doesn't want to do none of this, and ultimately he tried to defy Bak right then and there. Of course Bak would have foreseen it. So things have to go according to whatever it is that Bak's future is foreseen, but at the same time there's still like a gray area. Like, imagine looking at a picture and there's like a little blotch on there that you can't see the full thing because of the Soul King's interruption. So yeah, I think that regardless on where his allegiance may lie, ultimately Uryu kind of has no choice, because Bach already seen that at the very least Uryu was going to get involved in some part of this thing. He just can't see the full thing because again, Mimi Hagi, the Soul King, is involved. But regardless, as a long-time Bleach watcher, if you've been watching Bleach for a long time, or just heck, if you've seen the whole thing, you're going to feel some type of way one way or another to see Uryu's treachery, the betrayal of Ichigo and friends, because it's like, bruh, what are you doing? You gotta imagine on Ichigo's side of things that there's just a massive amount of hatred and emotion and feelings in general towards Bach, because Bach is kind of responsible for what happened, of course, to his mother. You gotta imagine that Uryu's gonna feel some type of way as well. So the whole situation, I'll be honest, when I read the manga and even now watching the anime, it kind of feels like a half and half of almost unbelievable. Like, Uryu, what the heck are you doing? Like, sure, yo, Quincy's up, let's go, it's up, yo, but at the same time, it's like, bruh, this dude is no good and he's a threat to literally all of existence. You know what I'm saying? Like, literally what he's doing right now and what you just essentially helped him and propelled him to be able to accomplish is destroying reality. So there's a part of me that is like, one, dog, you traitor, you darn traitor, you. But then at the same time, it's like, are you thinking all of this through, or is there some plan? Like, you gotta have some type of plan if you actually aren't completely just nut job evil at this point. But we get to see a little bit of a skirmish between the two, and I'm gonna keep it all the way real. I personally felt like Ichigo was holding back. Like, I feel if Ichigo really wanted to stop Uryu right then and there, no matter how much he's been boosted up, so to speak, from drinking from Bach's cup and all of that other stuff, I still personally don't feel like Uryu would have been able to take out Ichigo if Ichigo was truly going for it. Even after the fact of Uryu going into, you know, his new transformation, so to speak, I still personally feel, and maybe I'm just speaking from a fan standpoint, that Ichigo could have slaughtered him down if he truly wanted to. But at the same time, you got to imagine, bro, Ichigo's fighting for his life. He's trying to help the Soul King not completely wipe out reality. He's trying to fight Bach. He's thinking about Orihime, Chad, and them, that they're there, but let's keep it real, they're there by a strand. And then of course one of his longtime friends and comrades is betraying him right before his eyes. So all of that you got to take into account as to why Uryu is basically besting Ichigo throughout their entire exchange. I mean, bravo to Studio Pierrot, just giving us what I felt was a way more in-depth demonstration of everything. Props to Pierrot, props to Kubo, because it just felt like, oh, there was a lot more depth to it now opposed to when you read it in the manga. Like, I really feel like, oh, I got a better understanding of just everything that happened and what Ichigo's emotions might truly be. But as I said, during this whole encounter, of course, you also have Bach's elites getting involved, and I ain't gonna lie, it was nice to get a little tiny break of a moment, because everything is just extremely and extraordinarily serious, gritty, bloody, knuckle, all of that stuff. So when Ganju thought he had a moment of, yeah, you know, I buried them in quicksand, let's go, we gotta win, I was like, bruh, you really think you do that? Like, just, do you realize these are the same people that just took out the Royal Guards? You know what I'm saying? Squad Zero. You think that you with your little set, bruh. But it's definitely setting up for whatever's to come regarding the battle against them as well, because it's not just, of course, Bach, he has his elites with him. And as the episode continues, we get to the moment where seemingly Uryu is able to blast some arrows straight through Ichigo, sending him falling down, and you could definitely see the hurt, the betrayal all over Ichigo's face as he falls from the Soul Palace. And it definitely feels as though this is doing another transitional scene of basically, you know, the bad guys won yet again. So next time we get the encounter will probably be the grand finale and the final battle, unless you truly believe like, yo, this is it, there's no more episodes of Bleach and Bach won. But seriously, just that whole exchange and whatnot, art, animation, of course, they executed properly, and it just really was a demonstration to truly make you feel like, oh, this is really a true betrayal. I didn't get necessarily that complete feeling in the manga. I was more so just annoyed, like, Uryu, what are you doing here? With this one, you could kind of feel more of the emotion of the intensity of the situation at hand, and of course just seeing more of Bach just having it and finally having his way of breaking through and getting the Soul King's body and what it basically seemingly is about to do. Because of course by the end of the episode you see not only is Ichigo defeated, not only the Royal Guards had their way, but Bach seemingly got yet again what appears to be another ginormous power-up as he opens a bunch of different eyes, and it's not just like 3 pupils within his 2 eyeballs. Like, now it looks like he has a monstrosity, think Yu-Gi-Oh! 1,000 Eyes Restrict type of vibe. So not only we couldn't stop him before, but now Bach is even more so powered up than ever. Very much so a hard line to walk for any author that writes a story where you're making the villain already was unstoppable, even more unstoppable. Let's see how Kubo gets through this one. But regardless, yet again, fantastic episode, a lot of emotion, a lot of beauty beauty to it. The original scenes was just incredible. Uryu versus Ichigo was done so beautifully. Art and animation, can't stress enough. Studio Pierrot, they're just winning. Like, sure, there's not an abundance of Sakuga in the scenes, but the way they're positioning it and the way they're making sure that even if the fluidity isn't the craziest, it still looks absolutely gorgeous when Ichigo is striking on Uryu or Uryu's arrows is flying. Like, Studio Pierrot is using a lot of great filters and in general a lot of great techniques and technology to make sure that things are looking pretty. I just hope once again that we get more of an expansive look now that basically Bach has had his way. He defeated Ichigo, even though it kind of more so seems like he would like for Ichigo to follow him if anything. And I guess that's also a little bit of the duality and complexities of Bach's character, is that while he's fighting Ichigo, you can see there's maybe a slight level of confusion of, you're supposed to be riding with me, what are you even doing right now, dog? Let's not forget all that we learned from Everything But the Rain, the flashback stuff or whatnot, which probably even infuriates Bach even more, because there's probably a level of, I don't want to say entirely, but definitely a small dose of ego within Bach. And if he's getting it from both angles, not only the father that didn't give him the love, but then also what he appears to look at like, you know, all Quincy are his children that are disobeying him. Like, there's a tall order of emotion that even Bach is feeling all at the same time, which leads him again to the biggest power-up of all, which I don't know, how do we even stop this, bro? Like, if Squad Zero couldn't get the job done, we got Ichibe waiting in the wings, just kicking back, trying to see how it's all gonna transpire. Ichigo just lost to Uryu, of all people. I'm sorry, bro. Like, Uryu's power-up to me has still, even to this point, felt a bit unbelievable. It's hard for me to really swallow that. Oh, Uryu went from essentially, you know, maybe like a C or a lower B type of ranking warrior to homie is S-class, taking out Ichigo, took out one of Squad Zero. Like, bro, this is a crazy power-up. That upgrade via Bach has just been immense. But yeah, moving forward from this, I guess we just gotta wait and see how the heck are the good guys, so to speak, gonna be able to pull this off and outdo these people, because as it stands right now, it feels like they just went from, oh my god, the situation is dire, to, yeah, this is impossible. How the heck are you even gonna beat these guys? Like, now Bach has seemingly become truly the Soul King himself. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about this though. I'm Tim. As always, people, have an awesome day.
What do I do? Where was I? Oh yeah, left rear, flat tire. My patience is getting thinner, my anger is getting higher, so I gotta move to a gas station, try to get air. My car's riding on the rim, I need to hurry get there. I pull up, hop out with the change for the pump. Ain't nothing coming out. What the fuck?